All right, I've been excited about doing this video for a long time. We're talking about German engineering meets ESK8, and this thing is pretty darn fantastic. Yep, we're talking about the cavity board's CS2. Welcome back, I'm Tony, and yeah, the Cavity Board CS2 is a fantastic board. I met the guys with Cavity at the ESK8 last year. As a matter of fact, I met them, through social media and emails and stuff previous to that. They're in Germany, and I've been talking to their team for a while. Fantastic people over there, and they have a big passion for electric skateboarding. And this is a direct drive board, which I tend to not be the biggest fan of. So when I met them at ESK8 that was one of my questions. Why did you go with direct drive? Well, one of the reasons is many of the places in Europe, and Germany included, it's pretty much illegal to ride these things in public. If you ride them in a private closed course or something like that, you're fine. But it's pretty easy to identify an electric skateboard often. Well, when you've got direct drive on there, it's a lot more difficult to do so, and it's so quiet. You don't get that telltale when it winds up, that type of thing. So that may be one of the reasons, and I'm pretty sure that's what they said. Well, that's where we started looking at direct drive first. So, you've got hub drive, you've got belt drive, you've got gear drive, and then you've got direct drive. That means the wheel is literally attached to the motor. You can see that in this picture right here. Well, it's not attached to the motor. There's an adapter attached to the motor, and then the wheel attached to the adapter. Because the wheels that are on it use the Kegel adapter, well, any wheels that have the Kegel, you can use them on there, but they also sell adapters for ABEC, and I've got those. They're really nice adapters. They're only like an extra 60 bucks. I think these are aluminum. Even the packaging on this thing was fantastic. So we're gonna do a lightning unboxing here in just a minute. I mean, it's really short. It's like only about 1 minute and 10 seconds. And then we've got about 7 minutes of ride and talk. I'm gonna tell you all about this board. First, let me talk about the specs. The CS2 has a forged carbon fiber deck that looks fantastic, top and bottom. I mean, this thing is just, it's slick, it's clean. They have padded grip tape on here, which to me is pretty important because I wanna go on longer rides. Padded grip tape might seem like a luxury or not that big of a deal, but trust me, when you've got it on there, you're like, oh yeah, that's much better. The board is not super light. It does weigh 35 pounds, has a max load of 440 pounds. Now that means that the board can actually handle 440 pounds being put on it, but a 440 pound rider's probably not gonna do real great riding it, but I think you understand. Now, this thing has a nice concave on it, and to me, it's just not that aggressive. I don't like a super aggressive concave because after a while, it starts to dig into the edges of my feet, and I like to go on longer rides, I mean, when you're going 20 miles an hour over a lot of stuff, after a while, it starts to cut into my feet. So I like this concave really, really well. Locks my feet in, and it feels fantastic. These have aluminum CNC 45-degree TKP trucks. They not only look really good, but to me, these are the best TKP that I've used. They're super carvy and versatile, and usually with a TKP, I'm gonna have a hard time making a tight turn. Not on these, man. I mean, stable and carvy and really, really tight turns, no problem. Now on the back truck, there's a 95A bushing on the front, there's 90A on bottom, and 85A on the top. I don't know, that must be some of the special sauce that they use, that German engineering, because these trucks, I'm just kind of blown away at how stable they feel. I didn't even tighten them at all. I tend to run my trucks a little bit tighter. These are loosey-goosey, and I'm just very stable. It's great. They even use custom washers on here, and I was going to tighten these things, but after riding it, it was perfect, so not worried about that at all. It uses these 115 millimeter rubber wheels, and I absolutely love these things. I wasn't really sure if I was going to like them or not. I'd seen them for Onsword before, and I was like, yeah, those look like they'd be pretty cool. I mean, anything that does not go flat, I like. And I'm not a big fan of urethane, as you'll see in the ride and talk here in a minute. They're already nice and grippy right off the bat, but when you get these things warmed up and worn in, man, they are nice. It uses a FOC ESC that's customizable, 90 amp. It's super similar to the ESK8's. Super smooth and beefy is what I had down in my notes, and I guess, everything about this thing is just luxury to me. It's silky, it's smooth on the takeoff, or you can adjust that, you can customize it. And the braking on it is also super smooth, but it's beefy, man. It's got lots and lots of power. And to me, the remote, it's also very similar to the ESK8's remote. Functionality-wise, the way that it looks, the display and everything else. And if you click the function button 8 times, you can go through all the different settings that you can customize right there on your remote. No app needed. So the ESC and the remote, very, very similar to ESK8's. We know that ESC and remote has a very good reputation, so I'm happy to see that on this board. It performs fantastically. As far as the motors, 45 kV, 2 times 3,500 watt max. They're direct drive motors. And of course, battery is super, super important. The battery on this one is a 14S4P 20AH, 1,036 watt hour, 21700 Samsung 50S batteries in there. I didn't get a full range test in there, but I'm at about 27 miles right now, and I've still got 2 bars left on the remote. Have not charged it since I first got it and charged it up. Now, as far as adapters go, yes, they have those ABEC. I would love to see a variety of adapters, or just a way to get adapters for direct drive motors to put some AT wheels on there, because it'd be nice to make this into a 2-in-1 board. Now, they have said that they might be releasing some belt drive drivetrains, maybe some gear drive drivetrains in the future, which would mean you got to replace that back truck, because the back trucks are made for, you know, direct drive motors. So it's certainly possible in the future, but right now it's pretty much made for street. And these guys, they like to do all kinds of slides and stuff like that. Maybe I'll try to learn some of those. They're a little bit younger than I am. All right, then let's go ahead and get into the Lightning unboxing and the ride and talk, and come back and give you my final thoughts. All right, due to weather and stuff, I haven't really gotten out to ride this a whole lot. I rode it a little bit in my neighborhood, but today I've got this neighborhood that's been recently repaved, and it's gonna be perfect for this, so let's go check it out. So we're in low, the L mode, and I already know that this goes pretty smooth and pretty slow. I think it's like 15 miles per hour. Well, it's 15 kilometers per hour, so that's not all that fast. God, it's so smooth though. Okay, we'll go with the E mode. Yeah, there we go. And that is 31 kilometers per hour. Now, I haven't tightened these trucks or anything else, so I wanted to feel it as they sent it. Man, ooh, it's graceful and nice. Well, as it turns out, I didn't bring my skate tool with me. There's almost always one in my glove box, but I think I loaned it to somebody and they never gave it back to me. So we're just gonna have to see how it does set the way that it is. I mean, it's super secure. I'm not worried about that. I just usually like a little bit of a tighter ride, but man, this thing, it just feels fantastic. Like I said, these roads here are just perfect for this. All right, so just went through that radar thing, and it said, what, 18, 19 miles per hour, and that is on E mode. Man, so far on this board, everything just feels great. I mean, it is super secure feeling in the feet. Obviously, being a carbon fiber board, it's gonna be nice and solid. The wheels, they seem really nice to me. They're very comfy. It's almost like a, I don't know, it's almost like a stiff pneumatic type of feel to the ride. They stick really good too. Yeah, no stability issues at all, carving at a pretty high speed actually there, so that's not too bad. And surprisingly, for single kingpin trucks like this, you know, for TKP, turning radius on this is fantastic. Wow. Now, having not adjusted my trucks, I don't know if I want to try to go for the top speed on S Plus, Sport Plus, but let's just see what the takeoff is like on that. Oh yeah. Woo! Yeah, so if you're looking for maximum takeoff ability, S Plus, man, that's the way to go. That was a lot of torque, but yet somewhat smooth. It's hard to explain. This board just feels smooth and elegant in any scenario that I've run it in so far, which does not include off-road, because I'm most likely not going to be doing off-road with this board, you know? The board is compatible with all future upgrades and all of that. So they're talking about different drivetrains, maybe a gear drive, maybe belt drive, whatever. So should work with all of them. I've had direct drive on one other board. It just wasn't nearly the same experience. So whatever kind of special sauce they've done a great job. All right, it's a little bit quieter on this street. Let me just give you an example. And again, this is on S Plus, so you get to hear these motors here. I mean, this board is as close to silent as you're gonna get. I hear the wheels on the road more than I do the actual motors spinning up and belt noise and all that. All right, so I knew this thing would perform just fine on nice smooth asphalt, but what about some of the rougher asphalt variety? No problem, man. You know, I still get slight vibrations in the legs, but ain't nothing like urethane, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not just trying to trash talk urethane. I know some people absolutely love it, but I don't when it comes to electric skateboards, because, man, higher speeds, more vibrations and all that stuff, it just makes for a lot shorter ride for me, a lot less comfortable. But in this scenario, these wheels are great. Whenever I'm around water, I always like to stop and enjoy for a second. But around here, a lot of times, the surfaces around water are like this. It's that corrugated concrete stuff. Not so great on these wheels, and I'm sure not on urethane. Then again, you got to remember, this board is not exactly in its current configuration intended for that. But, I mean, it'll handle them. It's just a bumpy ride. Yep. Whew. All right, well, there we go. So, I mean, you know, it's not exactly an all-terrain board, but it sure does feel good on the terrains that it feels good on, you know what I mean? Well, it does manhole covers and everything else pretty simply. And these little things right there, I wanted to test it on the sidewalk cracks. Manhole covers. Hey, it's still comfortable even on these sidewalk cracks. I tend to carve just a little bit. It takes a little bit of that jolting away from them, but on here it's really not that big of a deal. Very nice. Man, what a nice board this is. It is now in my top 3. It's bumped the Hussar down to 4, but hey, it's still in my top 5. But this is, man, what a great board. This board, I'm wearing the Mad E-Skate shirt right now. This board would be perfect for their new wheels. They're they're Mad Wheels 125 millimeter. And I say that because I think this board could really benefit from another 10 millimeter of wheel circumference, because the wheels that are on it are only 115 millimeter. Sorry, 115 millimeter. Easy for me to say. But yeah, that means they're really close to the ground. And, you know, direct drive motors, one of the reasons why belt is good, because you can put them up and away. Now, on some belt drive boards, they're up underneath the board like that. but they got motor guards on them. You can't really put those on a direct drive motor. And as you can see right here, I've already got a couple of dings on these, and I wasn't going too aggressive with it. So with 115s on there, your motors might get a little dinged up, and maybe your trucks too. But we're not prima donnas, right? A few dings on the board, well, that's to be expected. Or something around 125. But yeah, it'd be really cool if we could get some adapters to put some AT wheels on there, but there's just so many different varieties of them, and they usually have their own pulleys. Yeah, you get it. Overall, this board is so comfortable and so quiet. It's like a stealth board, I could roll up behind somebody, they wouldn't even know if I was on a nice smooth road or something, just, I mean, I do like the whine of motors sometimes though, when you're like, wah, but these are just, it's like my sound effects. I don't usually do that. The deck on this thing, like I said, it is not too aggressive on the concave, which is great, because too aggressive, I start getting pains on the outer edges of my feet where they rest on those things. But the wideness, the width of this board is, like I said, it's kind of like driving a Toyota and then driving a Cadillac. Or wait, maybe I should say it's kind of like driving a Hyundai and then driving a BMW. I don't know. I was trying to think of something German, but that's German, right? Bavarian? Sorry for my ignorance on German stuff, but I got to tell you, German engineering really comes into play here. This board is fantastic. I love it, and it's now in my top 3. If I could put AT wheels on it, it might even beat out my DIY. Love my DIY, but this is the prettiest board of all the boards that I have, so that kind of gives it a little extra points to me. So that is the Cavity CS2, and once again, thanks to the Cavity team for getting this to me. These do ship from the US. From what I understand, they're shipping from Las Vegas, if you are in the US, that is. But if you're in the EU, they do ship from the EU as well. I'll put a link down in the description so you can check out their website. The price on the website is 2,399 euros. I can't remember, I don't even know what that translates to. I'll put it on the screen when I do the editing for this video. Is that cheap? No, that is definitely not cheap, but this is not a cheap board. You gotta remember, these guys engineered this thing in Germany. Now, it is actually assembled in China, but a lot of work goes into this. It has high-end components, so yeah, 2,399 euros. I mean, I guess that really comes down to you figuring out what's worth it to you. Based on what you'll pay for other Chinese boards, I'd say it's worth it. So that is the Cavity Boards CS2, and I want to thank you so much for your support here on the channel. Likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, always very important to my channel, so if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, there is a red subscribe button down there and notification bell. If you click both of those, you'll get notifications when I upload new videos. I just want to thank you so much for your support here on the channel. It's been around since 2013, but all of that depends on you, so thank you so much for being here. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll catch you next time on the Vapor Trail channel.